Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. You know, I can't start anything without saying alhamdulillah because it's very important. I feel like that's one of the main reasons why some of us are still alive, because we are thankful for everything and every situation that we find ourselves in. So yes, my Muslims brothers and sisters out there, I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's another beautiful Jummah, which means it's TGIF, that is thank God it's Friday. And as you all know, every Jummah here on Comedian TV, we bring you our very beautiful program called Mubarak. And I still remain, your humble host, Uthman, Nurat. So today, before I go into our program or our gist or our information, let me give you my prerequisite as usual. You know it's Friday, and as I do say, Friday is one of our main festivals in Islam, and also a very special day for we Muslims, which means it's a day when we get to interact with our other Muslims. We go to the central mosque to pray. We meet people which probably it's been a while that we've actually seen them, and we also get to meet new people. So as I do say, for brothers and Jummah, you need to look good, please. It's very important. Yes, shave your beard, take your bath, to spray perfumes. That's for the meal, don't forget. And please, if you have fine shoe, please put it on. Those shoes that you have been keeping for the last 5 years, I beg, put it on. Put in there to happen. You want to let doors to finish the shoe. Anyhow, and as for the sisters, please put on a very nice dress. Keep on with the smile. Remember, it's sunnah. Yes, smiling is sunnah. And definitely sit taslim to everyone you meet on the way. For the brothers also, do your taslim. Yes, when you get to the masjid, do remember to always sit at the front, yes, close to the imam, so you can listen to the khutbah very well. And please don't be very careful with our side talks. Yes, don't backbite and everything. And definitely do read your surah al-Kahf. Very, very important. And make more dhikrs and supplications to Almighty Allah, because He said that Fridays, as well, as I said earlier, that's a very special day. We don't know in between the time that Almighty Allah actually brings down istijaba, that He receives our prayers, our supplications. You understand? It's very important. Alright, so having said all this, today on Jummah Mubarak, I have a very trendy, yeah, and something that in a way kind of bothers me, yes, because it's something I noticed that happens over time. So I feel like we need to actually find a solution to this thing. I need to clear the air about certain misconceptions. So speaking about misconceptions, that leads me to the topic of today. Yeah, so today on Jummah Mubarak, we'll be talking about misconceptions in Islam. Yes, misconceptions in Islam. I feel like being a Muslim alone already comes with so many questions. Some people like, because you're a Muslim, does that mean you have to cover your hair every day? Does that mean you guys have to pray 5 daily prayers? Does that mean you guys have to, be doing this, you can't just pray whenever you like? Is it a must you have to pray those 5 daily prayers at the right time and the light? I mean, different question comes up every day, especially based on this our religion. I'm like, okay, I think we need to just sit people down if it's possible, like sit everybody down. So I'm like, sisters, brothers, this is this. You understand? So today we are going to give you certain answers to some questions which I know has been lingering in some of you minds. Yes, just your mind that we running around like so that they understand. Better sit down and come and listen to this word and this correction, because this one is once and for all. If you ask many questions after this one, to shock all of you. Alright, so as I said earlier, today we're talking about the misconceptions in Islam, and yes, I brought a very knowledgeable person. Trust me on that one now. I cannot fall your hand. Alright, this person is here to give us more information on the misconceptions in Islam, and also help us to correct those notions, you understand, because they are very, very important, and probably we can all live in peace. Because no. Alright, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Anyhow, can you please introduce yourself?
I am Mubarak.
Okay,
I am a ESCO member of Oyo State.
Okay.
I am a software developer by profession. And I am a Muslim. I think that is the most important.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, being a Muslim is something everybody should be proud of. Alright, so I started with this whole misconception in Islam the other time, and I feel like one way or the other, I'm sure you've actually gone through some of the misconceptions, because I feel like it's like we Muslims need to actually answer questions every day of our lives based on our religion, and I feel like we need to actually answer some of these questions, so you can actually clear the air and the misconceptions. All right, so let me throw to you the first question. The first, I remember someone asked me, "Are all Arabs Muslims?" And I'm like, okay, I beg. So as long as you're Arab, those are the only Muslims in this life. So we the rest are what? I don't understand. Please come help us and share light on this matter. That are Arabs, or is it that it's only Arabs that are Muslims?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh once more. We give thanks to Almighty Allah for allowing us to see today. I think I'm very, very excited to be a part of this program because as a person too, I have fallen victim of this stereotype for a very long time. Now, the concept of Arabians being Muslims, Arabian alone being Muslims, it has boiled down to as long as our childhood days. Because you found out that in our textbooks those days, as far down as age 2, age 3, you see them when anything has to do with Muslim or Islam, you see them with a picture of somebody on a horse,
yes,
then with like wielding a sword or something. So that has carved a kind of stereotype in the minds of young persons that okay, when they see certain kinds of persons, they believe that those persons are the only Muslims. And if you check, that image that has been drawn, that image that was shown to us while we were very little, the only place where you get matching, like 100% matching record of that image is in the Arabian. Like when you are watching things from Saudi Arabia, you are watching things from Iraq, Iran, and co. So you get 100% matching. But if you come to a place like Nigeria, you find some persons on suits, you find some persons on shirts, like myself, and we are all Muslims. Although there are some things that we will consider in this aspect, like culture has to deal with these things too. But the fact that they choose to dress the way they dress in Saudi Arabia, it boils down to how they've been doing it even before Islam comes. Yes, their mode of dressing has always been long. So for the fact that somebody is wearing suits or somebody chooses to be on jean or something doesn't mean that those kind of persons are not Muslim. So don't be surprised when you see somebody on shirts, jean, and this person tells you I'm a Muslim. Don't be like, ha. I think I have answered that question.
Okay, so you get that, like, please get it straight to you. Meaning, just because we've been like Arabs portray this whole Islamic thing does not only make them Muslims. You understand? We have Muslims in various parts of the world. You understand? As long as you cover our heads and throw our names, let's even not go into the whole discussion of just because you be a Muslim, they make you a Muslim. But regardless, our names and our identity and the way we dress should be able to tell you that yes, we are Muslims, and not only Arabs are Muslims. So please don't ask me that question if I'm a Muslim. Thank you. Alright, so after that, I feel like the second question or the second misconception, which is very which I like that it's kind of be going around, is the fact that Muslims don't value education. I mean, I feel like okay, the only thing we are actually good at is probably getting married early, you know, the stuff that okay, just once the child is like 12, or in fact the moment the child is being born, shall be betrothed to a particular person. So what they do is once they get the child is like, probably like 13 years, they just marry her off. Or probably what we do is almajiri, you know, all the stuff that will just probably give make our kids be wearing animals and probably just be walking around. I'm like, I don't understand. Is it that you guys have not seen Muslims that are actually very educated or do things that you understand that have significance? And I'm like, God, we really need to treat this topic of this misconception. So I need you to help me shed my light on that one tonight. Is it true that we Muslims do actually value education?
Yeah, religion that values knowledge, because there are places even that God says before you can worship me, you have to know me.
Yes.
Yeah, and there are places where He says you should seek for knowledge, even if it's as far as going to China.
China, yes.
Yeah, so if you check over time, the contribution of Muslims, even in the field of sciences and arts, cannot be underestimated. For example, we have Arabic numerals in mathematics. In fact, mathematics itself as a concept originated from the Arabian nation, where Islam itself originated. Now, if you check algebra,
Okay.
algebra is a concept from Akitab Ajabar. That's where the name algebra came to be. And if you check many of those former psychologists, philosophers, great philosophers, they were from Egypt. Many of them are Muslims. So at no point in time does it portray Muslims as people who don't value education.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it just now that you don't mix cultural or environmental factors with religion. We should try to be able to separate environmental effect of man, although we cannot undermine it too, that religion has large effects on human development. But there are other factors too that we tend to be removing when we are discussing issues like this. And such are the environmental factor that I just said. Where is it that you grow?
Yeah,
Where exactly around that region where you grow, do they go to school around that region? There are some places where, irrespective of your religion, if you grew up in such places, you are likely not to go to school. For example, Lagos is not a place, we are all familiar with Lagos. It's not a place where it's tied down to a particular religion. But if I single out Ikorodu from Lagos, the amount of educated persons in Ikorodu compared to the whole of Lagos, we know the ratio of, we all know the ratios. Now that place, Ikorodu, if you grow up in that place, you are much more likely to value handwork, trade in such regions compared to education. So if you are coming to say no, these persons don't value education, please look at the whole geographical mappings of Muslims and check which one of them is backward in terms of education. So don't just pick a particular region in a country, a particular tribe, a particular persons, and use it to stereotype the whole faith, like Muslims don't go to school. To me, that doesn't make much sense.
I mean, to me, I feel like that stuff is totally off. Like, it's totally wrong. I mean, we've seen people who actually amount to certain positions, and like, this person is a Muslim, alhamdulillah. This person is a particular Muslim, alhamdulillah. I mean, we've seen most females, we've seen males too. So, I mean, just because you feel like this particular tribe or probably this particular ethnicity has a particular storyline and the like, doesn't mean you need to doesn't mean everything actually boils down to me being illiterate. So please, you guys need to just stop it. We already said the first one, no all Arabs. Sorry, I stopped. Not only Arabs are Muslims. I think that's no identity, we are Muslim. And secondly, please, we value education a lot. Yes, because our religion embraces knowledge. So yes, we value education. Now let me move to more controversial one. Like, that one is kind of simple. The controversial one is on jihad. Someone told me one time, person said, jihad, all this Muslim jihad, it's not about people killing everybody that is still on the way. Any little misunderstanding, you guys just keep. I'm like, just calm down now. Like, I have to ask the person, where did you get this information from? The person was like, based on what he has said. The person made use of ISIS. ISIS is an example that ISIS, according to them, they according to them, they say they're actually propagating this whole Islam. So meaning that everything they are doing, this whole killing and terrorizing everyone, is actually a form of jihad. And I'm like, okay, I understand, but actually I need you to help us enlighten people on what jihad actually is, because according to me, ISIS are no Muslims.
The very moment I was told that the topic of today is misconception in Islam, the first thing that came to my mind was jihad, terrorism.
Yeah.
I think the whole misconception thing just boils around that. That's the most stereotyped topic in the world. Like, Muslims are terrorists. The religion is violent.
Yes.
It has to be clear in capital letters. There is nowhere in Islam, there is nowhere in the religion that tolerates violence.
Definitely.
Any form of violence. Domestic violence. In fact, even oppression, as there is not even killing somebody,
Yeah.
just oppressing somebody is not tolerated in Islam.
Definitely.
Now, the concept of jihad, when most times when they are backing jihad up, they will bring the verse that says, fight for the religion. Now, where that verse stops, that's where many persons will stop, because it has actually it moves in line with the point they are trying to portray. Yes, fight for the religion. They will stop there. But that verse doesn't stop there. That verse says, fight for the religion, those who fight you and don't transgress, because Allah hates transgression.
Transgressors, yeah.
So if you have the cause, which should even be the last of the options, because there's a verse that's in, I think, Quran chapter 8 verse 61, that says, if they extend peace, you have to extend peace, and trust Allah is the all-knowing. So I wonder where that place of fighting for Allah, I wonder where it comes from. Now, even on the act of war, even when there is war, like when there is war, there is particular guidelines that guide the act of war. One of those guidelines is, you don't raise your sword against anybody who doesn't raise sword against you. So where does the concept of killing innocent persons come from? Where does the concept of destroying things come from? Where does the concept of violence come from? Hey, where we have gotten this thing wrong over time is using religion as a facade is a very good escape route for avoiding questions. Yes, when there is terrorism somewhere, when there's violence somewhere, it's easy to just say a Muslim terrorist, and there will be no questions. Because everybody will believe, oh, that's what they do.
Yes.
It's part of their act. So the politicians, stereotyped persons, media use this a lot to get out of questions. Now, there are other questions we need to ask. What other factors can cause terrorism? What other factors can cause oppression? Don't forget that at a point in time, in Nigeria here, we have the Niger Deltans. Are they Muslims? But we were able to get a resolve for Niger Delta. We were able to come to a conclusion. We were able to die them down, because when it's their time, nobody will tell you a Christian or it's a religion battle. Yar'Adua actually came, sat down with them. What are you guys fighting for? It is not an attempt to justify violence. It is not an attempt to clarify anything. What I'm about is, if there's a violence, get these persons that is involved in violence, don't attach their religion to it, because it has nothing to do with the religion. Listen to their cause. If their cause is worth listening to, then grant whatever it is they wish. If it's an unjust cause, punish them accordingly. Violence has no place in Islam. So if there's anybody perpetrating violence, they should be judged accordingly. I'll bring another instance. Where does the concept of pardoning persons who have murdered some other persons, where does it come from? Where does it come from? Now the persons who have murdered, persons who have perpetrated violence will be caught, and they will be granted release. Is that part of the religion too? But because we believe that these persons are Muslim terrorists, these persons are terrorists, we won't ask questions that are supposed to be asked. Illiteracy is also a cause of violence, don't forget. For a place where there is lack of education, where you don't have many numbers of persons, it's just easy for you to just call one small person, equip them with weapons, and say they should go for violence. If it's any region at all that has a low level of education, we should expect this. Any region that is not enlightened, we should expect something like this. So we should try as much as possible to detach Islam from, so that we can concentrate on what is it exactly that is causing this violence. What is it exactly that is their problem? Who needs to be punished? What is the agenda behind the violence? And not just say, no, it is the act of terrorism by an Islamic person, by a Muslim person, and the whole case dies down.
Seriously. I would like to start with, Alhamdulillah, Islam itself stands for peace. So guys, I don't know when people go on, as you know, Muslim, this Muslim, I'm like, okay, let's even start with this whole matter, because I feel like that's also one of the problems. people, I mean, these so-called people who bring kids, like little kids, and just brainwash them and give them very, very harmful equipment, they tell them to go and bomb themselves. I'm like, okay, these particular people, it's very hard for you to see their kids among the so-called people that are actually doing this on martyrdom. That brings down to the fact that are real Muslims actually, how will I put it, are we this, like, are we, like, have we actually stooped so low to the fact that we are now being so selfish? So the fact that Islam itself supports peace, that doesn't even make these people Muslims. So for the fact that you're doing anything that's to do with killing people in the name of jihad, that's wrong, that's not jihad, because jihad has to do with striving in the cause of Allah. As far as in the cause of Allah, do it, you correcting the wrong in the right way. Not you killing the same people, not you committing so many bad vices everywhere. You feel like that's actually the right thing. No, no, no. That's no jihad. Jihad has to do with you helping your partner also. Has to do with you helping your neighbor if possible. Has to do with you just doing good to everyone. I mean, just the things that are necessary, not you killing people, you understand? Because that's definitely not what Islam even stands for. If at the other time you were making mention of, you made mention of people doing what is wrong and being given probably bail or even allowed to go scot-free, and that boils down to Sharia law. Because someone wants to me that Nigeria is better than Sharia law. I'm like, okay, do you even understand what Sharia law is about? Because no, if you're actually making use of Sharia law in Nigeria, I feel like aside from me being mostly used in the northern part of Nigeria, it's actually being used like the general constitutional law. If it was just purely Sharia law, I feel like certain people, like people would think twice, not even twice, before they do certain things, because everybody only see the ash part. They forgotten to see, you understand, the other part. So I'm like, if there is a way, can you please shed more light on the Sharia law too?
Yes. Sharia law is the law that is backed by Quran and Hadith.
And Hadith, yes.
Yes. Although for some time it was functional in some parts of the country, like when you go to the north, you see them practicing Sharia law, and up to now there are fragments of it. Yeah, I can remember there's still some sections of no smoking in no drinking, no bar houses in Niger State. Yeah, and if you check parts of Kano now, you see fragments of such still occurring. But those concepts have been met with very stiff opposition. It's not actually going down with persons, because many of us now, we yearn for freedom. Yeah, the 21st century persons, we want freedom. But the question I would want us to ask is the level of freedom we are requesting for. Do we have that structure to control the effects of the freedom we're asking for? Because if you look at it very well, it's a trade something. Yes. You give freedom, you trade something. Yeah. Now, if you look at places that are very, very free, yeah, you see some other form of vices being predominant. Yes, extremely free regions, you see them having high cases of rape, high cases of murder, high cases of human trafficking, high cases of drugs. You get the idea. Now, if you check places that are actually having these, that are practicing these laws, that have stiff Sharia laws, you see that those things are to the minimum. Now, we now wonder, why is it that we are using ourselves for rituals? Why is it that no, there is high rape increase in Nigeria, but we are the ones yearning for freedom? Now you grant this freedom. Majority of what is keeping, I want to put this straight, majority of what is keeping, preventing many persons, what is bringing the animalistic nature of many persons, is not because there's law, the normal law that we have. It is because of the religion law that used to exist. Go to the north. You don't dare temper with a woman there, because you know the repercussion of that kind. So that is a structure that is preventing those things. But now you are kicking against the structure. Do you have another structure in place that will stand in place if that structure is out? Now you see every now and then women are being abused. Yes. Now I will give an example. If you let your kid to go outside, like you are looking for freedom for your child, you let that kid to stroll out. You are letting that kid stroll out because you are aware that to some extent the kid is safe, because there's security, there's security measures outside. Do you get it? But now, what measure have you put in place to prevent a lady that is outside, what measure have you put in place to prevent that? No, if anything happens, this lady, the normal law, even on the face of the normal law, we are seeing these cases reoccurring. Yes, we have been seeing them coming up on and on and on and on. See the case of rituals. If you check many places that still have that traces, that little bit of Sharia, those little bit of you hardly hear things like this. Yeah, somebody using somebody for ritual, because you know that once you once you engage in this thing, you know it is not we shouldn't perceive it as being stiff. Many of us are actually, some of us are actually alive today because of that. If there were no religions, I would want to bet that some of our parents would have using some of us. Look at the time before religion. A father can use his child for something else. A father would donate his child for family rituals. But with the coming of Sharia and co, you don't try something like that. So I believe, if as much as we are kicking against Sharia, we are kicking against the law, we should ensure that there is an alternative. We should try to look, I wouldn't say we should ensure, because some of those things doesn't have alternatives. We should try to look, if these laws are removed, do we have a standing structure that will be in place for these laws? So when Islam says don't do this, it is aware of the consequences. So if you say no, you are going to do it, then you are going to trade the effect, you are going to get the effects and trade off the benefits of that law.
Alhamdulillah, I feel like we've been able to actually touch certain important parts, you understand? But just before we round off, please can you just say a little bit about this? So how I put it, hijabis being fanatics, because I've actually someone told me before that you're not the only Muslim around. I mean, we've seen Muslims who, you understand, who don't put on hijab, and that doesn't mean that they don't pray. And we've seen people that they don't actually pray 5 daily prayer, at least they can pray everything in the evening. I'm like, I don't understand. You guys are not Muslims to start with. You don't understand the rules and the guidelines. But based on the fact that you actually see certain people praying it or doing those stuff, you feel like those stuff that those people are doing are actually the right thing. So can you just touch a bit on the issue of praying, or let's just say conjoining prayer like twins from morning to evening, and the fact that putting on hijab actually is a symbol of Islam. And please, we need to be very careful about some things that are actually wear hijab on, because somebody once told me that is that girl not a Muslim, because the girl was actually putting on a very skimpy stuff. I'm very sorry to say this, but very skimpy, you understand? And she was on a hijab that was like this, and the girl was like, me, I'm Alaja. I'm like, I'm not even Alaja on myself. I'm just a normal girl, but Alaja, like, okay, Alaja, like, so you understand? So just touch a little bit part of the prayer and the hijab.
For such aspects, I know that you have ventured into a very critical topic.
I know, right?
And answering such questions, I will have to be careful, like very careful for such questions. Now you see the issue of hijab. Now hijab, like I will give a scenario. My group in Oyo State here. Now there was somebody that posted an accommodation update, and she actually requested for somebody who doesn't wear hijab, a non-hijabite. It was specific that I need a roommate, a non-hijabite, just prays 5 daily prayer. Now look at that
that word sentence.
Now if we are to put it, hijab in Islam is compulsory. Yes, because it is clearly stated that the aura of a woman is her entire body. Unlike men, our aura starts from the navel to the knee. So anything that covers the navel to the knee is accepted. But for a woman, the whole body of a woman is, should I say, a temple? Yes, it is highly treasured. So you have to get that part covered. And what can actually cover those parts? If you can give me an alternate suggestion, because it is not clear, it is not stated that it has to be an hijab. It just has to be covered. Is there an alternative, a more conducive, or a more how would I put it, easy to wear something that will actually fulfill that condition. And what you are going to wear shouldn't expose your shape. Unlike what we have now, some ladies will put the hijab and still hold it around. You have forfeited the reason of even putting the hijab in the first place. The essence is your body should not be exposed, your shape too should not be exposed. It shouldn't be that you are going to be walking on the road and you are going to be tempting persons. That is the essence of the use of hijab. We don't want you seducing persons on the road. We know that as a man, seeing a figure alone is enough to initiate random thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, so cover these shapes. If there's any other thing you want to use, which I believe is not available for now, fine. As long as it covers, it satisfies that condition that your body must be covered and your shape must not be exposed.
So, alright, so now, having said on the issue of hijab, let's move to a little bit of the prayer part.
Prayer, yeah.
The conjoining people of Subi, Zuru, Ashri, Magdu, everything during the shy. And I'm like, okay, like, how do people even, because I've seen someone that was like, what's there, that we are all fanatics, all trying to put this stuff, like, we are all painting it a way that if you don't do it, you understand, you've seen. I'm like, yes, it is a sin to even start with. Like, God is just being lenient on everybody. Let's be very honest to ourselves. So now, God is only asking for a little time out of your busy schedule, the so-called busy that I even gave you, because I mean, who knows when we are all going to die. So just pray your 5-day prayer at least. It's not even in the same time. I mean, we have one Subu, you have Zuhr, we have Asr, we have Maghrib, and we have Isha. And these times, they're like different times. Some people that they have different times. The time frame given to them is not even much. And we see some people that like to conjoin. Like, they don't even care about this thing. And because I was telling someone one day, like, see, if out of your busy schedule, no matter how much we all say we are busy, we are this, we are that, I think that you don't have 5 minutes for yourself. Like, you don't have 5 minutes for yourself. Because I was like, nah, okay, but then you go for breaks, even if an hour or 30-minute break, in between that time, you feel like, yes, we don't have time to go for the next prayer, probably answer. Why not pray during Zuhr? You understand? That one is understandable. But you now conjoin everything in the evening, I feel like, okay, I need someone to just come and talk on this stuff, because this person already seems like you, I beg, you're carrying everything here like a fish.
Yes, for this issue, I think if every Muslim, if you are born in a Muslim home and you have very little the basic of Islamic upbringing, I think you are aware. So if you choose to deny it, well, we have seen lots of deniers where some persons come up with their own different this thing to interpret just to back up themselves. Yeah, but I think many persons know that what they are doing is not acceptable. Now, you see, Islam is a religion of ease, is a religion of peace. Yeah. Sometimes conditions might warrant. Yes. Now that conditions are what I wouldn't bring here, but there are certain conditions for everything. Like for example, fasting. Fasting is actually a pillar of Islam. Yeah, a mandatory part of Islam. Now, but there are conditions that exempt somebody from fasting. Going to Hajj, there are conditions for it. Praying, there are conditions for it. Now, there is an issue that there is a case that happened where somebody was having injury on his legs, and the person decided to sit while praying. Now, that person was actually known. You are not allowed to sit, but you can actually walk. Were you not the person that? Now, if sincerely, that leg, the person is trained by that leg is, yeah, there's an injury on that leg, I think the person has a right, it's permitted to be seated while praying. Yeah. Now, there are some conditions like that as well that will permit you to shift it, but it's not like combine everything, because some persons do it up to the extent that they use their own habits to inconvenience other Muslims. Now you go to a workplace now, because there's an Abdu something there that has never prayed, or that has this self-conceited ease that made this self-ease for himself, that no, I can always pray it at home. Now when you now say no, I want to go and pray by 2 o'clock, they will now look at you that is that not an Abdu something there? Is that not a muntakar there? Are they not Muslims that are going to pray? So that is one thing. If you are doing something, you should look at the effects on the whole job, such that sometimes you are actually the conditions are there, but you still have to do it because you are looking at it that some persons will translate this thing the other way around. For example, somebody has prayed before, and there is a rule that says every Muslims around there should pray in Jummah. All right, now you have prayed before. You now came back and you stood somewhere where everybody can see you, that you didn't join the prayer. Although if they ask you that why is it that you have not prayed, you come and say no, I have prayed, and the person asking you would look like an extremist.
Yeah.
You get the whole point of the. Now that person looks at an extremist. It's not the person's fault, it is you. So even as much as you know that some of these things are Islam is lenient with them, don't give a space for different interpretation.
Yeah.
That is my take on it. Yes, this thing is this. Don't let it be translated as this. There's some point that my malam will actually remove his cap to pray, because he feels like some persons might take it that the cap is a compulsion.
Yeah, it's a compulsion.
So don't give space for different interpretation. Don't let them look at your life and use it to point. Don't be a bad example. They shouldn't be referenced a bad example with your own life. So I think if we take it from there, we are going to be much more sincere with. But telling somebody that prayer is compulsory now, I think everybody knows.
Yeah,
what we are just going to seek of persons is don't let them use you as a bad example.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, I feel like you've heard it all. So please don't let them use you as a bad example. I mean, nobody's perfect, let's be very honest with ourselves, and nobody's actually an ocean of knowledge. But then with these little ones we've been able to imbibe you, we hope you all are going to make very good use of it. So yes, that's from our Karen. So I guess thank you for coming, thank you for shedding more light on this particular issue. So please, have you been able to learn 1, 2, 3, 5 things from everything that has been said, and you learn to see away Muslims differently? So you understand all those your notions, all those your conceived notions. Please don't just give it to them, they are not needed. Keep them where they are and try to open your mind to other things that we Muslims actually do, or things that we actually do stand for. So with this we're saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. With this we'll be coming to an end of the show, but before then, don't forget to subscribe, like and share our programs. It's very, very important. And yes, please do drop your comments at the comment section. We are eager to actually listen to them all and read them all. So yes, as I did say, do remember to stay fit, look good and smile. Yes, smiling is sin now. With this I'll be saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessing of Almighty Allah of this beautiful Jummah be upon each and every one of us. Assalamu alaikum.